Hello, everyone. Before we start the podcast, I'd like to mention Pro Political Gear. Check out propoliticalgear.com for your political apparel today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Friday edition of Pro Political Pod. I am your host, Chris Caputo. Alongside me is my co-host, Andrew Kornick, and we have a lot to unpack today, so let's get right to it.
Let me be clear.
I am
You peddle false narratives.
Sexy move.
We'll see who cancels who.
Watch me.
All right, starting off, today we have the Help Committee and the Senate did a hearing to the union busting accusations that they levied at Starbucks. Bernie Sanders is the chair of the Help Committee. They did a subpoena on Howard Schultz, forcing him to testify before Congress. And it was a very combative, hearing, obviously, as they typically are. Went back and forth for about 3 hours. And Bernie really led the charge, questioning like why Starbucks was, doing these union busting efforts, firing union leaders, closing stores, having a lot of like anti-union propaganda at these in these elections. And to top it off, I mean, really what makes it over the line is that despite the fact that since at the end of 2021, 300 stores have voted to unionize. Despite that, though, they still haven't really had Starbucks hasn't given them the chance to really have an actual agreement to negotiate for what they're going to be doing and everything. So I think that's really what pushed them over the edge to do like a full-on hearing, just on top of the firings and stuff like that. And it wasn't just him. There was also people like Starbucks workers who were representing the union that they had brought in too to tell their story. People who still work there, some people who were fired. So it was a very interesting back and forth. And on top of that too, because it was obviously like there were both parties were there, the Republicans and the Democrats, and the Democrats generally were more questioning Schultz and saying like what he was doing wrong. And Schultz was going to obviously defending himself, as they do. And the Republicans were there, and the Republicans they were basically carrying water for him, kind of like giving him credit for being like an entrepreneur or whatever. They're like the party of big business, and I guess at their core, because there's been kind of this push, I guess, recently for Republicans to try to be more like working class oriented, and they try to pretend like what about that. But push comes to shove, I mean, they still will back their big business people. And I think too, it's kind of become like a partisan thing, because they know the Democrats kind of have the union people on lock, so they kind of want to get the other side of that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's been going on with that. If you've been watching the show, you know that I'm in favor of the unions, and I think what's been happening with Starbucks is really good. That they have like the fact that they have gotten so many unions, and that they're fighting people in the management and the corporate class to get what they deserve. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So, a lot you just unpacked.
I did. This
Really
happened a
did.
couple days ago, so
You were shotgunning it. You were going right at it, dude. Really going at this one. I mean, it's okay because my segment later on, I'm gonna really be hammering it down. So I mean, listen, the union stuff that's going on with Starbucks, I think it's a great thing. To start more unions in a lot of these places, because a lot of them they're overworked, or underpaid, and most importantly they're understaffed. So definitely props to Bernie Sanders and anyone else that's a part of this committee, going after Howard Schultz. I definitely, because dude, I walk into like Chipotle sometimes, or just some like big box store, and they make so much money, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're doing it's not like a small business or anything where it's like you're really gonna hurt the guy. It's like you're not really hurting anybody, really, right? And there was so many times where I walked in there and it was so understaffed, and I think I mentioned this the last time. It's like you go into a Dwayne Reed or any of these other places, they're so understaffed. So a lot of these employees are like, well, where are my benefits here? I'm like doing all this work now. You got a line of 10 people and you got one cashier. It's like these companies don't want to pay. So, I mean, this is their way they're going to pay, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's it's crazy because for a long time unions have been kind of something that a lot of corporations in this country try to hide from. They've been successful in getting people to not want to unionize or not be able to. It's really a more recent phenomenon that unionship is on the rise again. And because unions are on the rise, companies trying to skirt them and break laws to do that are on the rise as well. Because the federal government has had so many reports and investigations already into Starbucks. So this really was just a matter of time. And like I said, I think just the fact that they won't even really negotiate with these unions, on top of the fact that they're closing stores that unionize and firing like union leaders, and they're even cracking down. So like, because when you work like a corporation, like you'll come in late and it's kind of like if it's like a minute or two, it's usually whatever. But stores like after they became unionized, they started to actually write their employees up for being like 2 minutes late. Like they started to take it a lot more seriously as a response and being much more like I don't want to say anal, but yeah, like being much more anal about like what their employees were doing to give more reasons to write certain people up. Definitely seemed to be the case what was going on there. So it's
Of course.
inevitable. And
I mean, I believe definitely like you should be on time for work almost all the time. But if you're writing someone up over a minute or two, and I mean, you have to also look at their history. Like if they're
yeah.
coming in like late every single
Well, because
day,
like with stuff
I mean,
like
they
that,
do have
it's
a
like
point there, right?
it's really just a matter of like it's basically pick and choose because
Hmm.
if you're like a minute or two late, most people places you're not gonna get in trouble for that, especially like you said, like they're understaffed, so why would they fire their people? But then it's like, okay, well, if management is super against the unions and they're trying to do whatever they can, then maybe they will start doing that. Or maybe the district manager will come and be like, hey, yeah, you have to, we have to crack down on lateness now. Like that's really, I think, what's going on more so than issues with individual employees. It's just like it's like directions from the top in certain areas that have are more likely or have had these union elections go their way. And yeah, it's really crazy too, because if you think about it, I feel like before all this happened, the perception that most people had when it comes to working at Starbucks is like, oh yeah, Starbucks is like, they'll pay for some of your school, they have like these little benefits and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, a lot of these companies do that. I mean, I
Like
think I
that's
saw
the
like Papa John's do somewhere like, oh, we're gonna pay a certain amount if you go to this certain like a certain college or whatever it is. I've definitely seen that from big
yeah.
companies before. Yeah, stuff like that to
I
get
think
especially to get
anything.
younger people, because that's really who you want to get. You want to get like teenagers or
Hmm.
um,
Well, yeah, because when you have
young
a union,
adults.
I mean, then it's like, okay, well, then what if they're people who are like committed to this job? They don't want people committed because then they have to
Yeah,
pay them more.
of course.
So it comes down to that too. And there has been lots of like for the most part, like pretty effective propaganda, basically discouraging people from having unions and stuff like that. But it's lots of people working less fulfilling jobs, I feel like. So it's good to see some movement, in the other direction after so many years.
Yeah, and unions they were really a big thing. I believe back in what the 50s, right? And then just
Yeah,
after
yeah.
a while, it just like I don't know. There was a point in time where it just kind of felt like it was going down, but now it looks like it's on the rise again, right?
Well, because
So
I mean, it declined with the rise of like the influence of big money and neoliberalism and all that
yeah,
stuff. So once
fun stuff.
Reagan kind of became president,
Oh, it's your guy. That's your man.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's good that that work's kind of being undone in a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all for topic though.
Okay. What we got next?
So next up, in other undoing news, the Senate voted to repeal the Iraq War approval. Basically, obviously, we can't undo because we did the Iraq War already.
Yeah, you really can't undo that. As nice it would be, but
But they're undoing basically the measure that they passed to allow the president to kind of unilaterally declare war. Because as maybe some people around our age or older would know, in the early 2000s after 9/11, the country kind of went in like a panic mode. Like we were like, oh my god, we have to stop attack these people who attacked us, and we attacked the wrong country. And the president kind of went in and used it as a pretense to invade countries and attack us to get resources and all that stuff. So since then, they're obviously, even honestly, kind of in a bipartisan way. Um, they kind of there has been a shift towards, I mean, war isn't good. And if we are gonna start a war, this should be something that's not decided by like one person or one group of people. It should be decided by all of the elected officials and our Congress, which is how it has been for the most part in the past 100 years or so. But obviously, more specifically, the past 20 years, there has been less power given to the whole Congress and more power kind of concentrated up to just the presidency. So I think this is a really good step in the right direction when it comes to war powers.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of these wars that we were in, and a lot of these politicians kind of looking at it like, well, is it worth it? And a lot of people look back on it and say, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
A
it's
lot of
worth
the
it for the
recent
weapons
wars, right?
companies, it's worth it for
Well, of
energy
course.
resources, but yeah, for everyday people, no, it's not.
No, it's absolutely not worth it. We're just doing it just to do it at that point. And a lot of people kind of look at that and say, yeah, you know what, maybe we should have never did that. And so they're actually using the noggin, right? And they're saying, you know what, let's not get into this. Let's not get into that. Let's talk about our mistakes. And let's try not to rewrite those mistakes, you know? I mean, eventually
I
we
think
always do,
it's
but
actually the margin in which this passed is really impressive too. It passed 66 to 30. That's like,
well,
you know, that's like pretty good. Because
66 to
usually
30 is
it's
very good.
like, hmm because I mean, you need like 60 votes to override a filibuster, I think. Because I think right now the Senate is split. It's 51 to it's technically 52 if you count the VP, but 51 to 49 is
Random
the.
question. Do we still have this filibuster, or did they get rid of it?
They never got rid of the filibuster now.
No, so that was all talk. They weren't going to do that in the first place. I remember when that was a big talk. We're like, oh, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. They're going to get rid of this and that. And so they never did that.
No, of course not.
I
You think
was
Joe
thinking
Biden's
about
gonna
it.
like remove the
Yeah.
filibuster?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not.
I mean, because there are Democrats and like progressive people who
Everybody
want to
uses
get rid
that.
of it, get rid of the filibuster. But like like these centrist Democrats aren't gonna get rid of it. I mean, there's like a smart way you can change the filibuster to be kind of more what it used to be. Because right now you kind of just declare a filibuster for the most part, and then
Mhm.
that's it. There's not a speaking filibuster anymore. But yeah, back to the topic. I mean, yeah, you need 60 votes to override a filibuster, and they got 66, which is like almost well over. But again, that kind of shows how bipartisan, at least the idea of being like anti-war has become.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's pretty. It's pretty. I don't know. It feels like it's one issue where it's like I think things are heading in an okay direction, but it's kind of
Yeah,
hard
you
to see
realize
because
it's
I mean, all
not.
you really need is like one thing to happen, and then it just comes like crashing back.
All you need is a panic attack from a politician to tell the people, and it's all over. So I mean, but that's I mean, you look at the news. I mean, they fearmonger all the time. They want people to, get prepared for a war, right? So it
Yeah,
just takes one politician, right? If the
I think
news
it's
could
more
do
so
it,
one
definitely the
event, but
politicians
yeah,
can. Well, yeah,
it is
but
a fragile thing. But I think a
listen,
lot of
if
progress
it's
has
a
been made.
populist politician, there's a good chance that could go far. So I mean, but a normal politician, yeah, it's gonna take a few more than one,
Hmm.
right?
But
Yeah, is there
I
anything else on that topic?
think that's the crux.
All right, so we get into some, I guess, uncharted territory to put it, right?
Yeah,
So they had big tech leaders want AI research to be paused. That has been a conversation that, man, I mean, AI has been such a conversation in 2023 like I've never seen it, man. And we all knew the day was going to come. We just didn't know what year was going to happen. And we were all over that. We didn't have the podcast back then, but if we did, we'd be talking a lot about AI. Specifically because we followed It's such a shame what happened. But Andrew Yang, well, let's go back to Andrew Yang. 2019, the time was right. It all looked great. It all looked like he had the best ideas. And one of the ideas that he had is let's have a Department of Technology. Okay? And I'm going to read you actually what it says on his. You know his 2020 website's still up?
Oh wow.
Like his Department of technology is still there. It's not there on the forward party. No, of course not. No policy. Of course not. Right. So let me just read you this real quick. So it says technological innovation shouldn't be stopped, but it should be monitored and analyzed to make sure we don't move past a point of no return. I think that's a great quote that he stated on his page for the Yang 2020 page. You know, Elon Musk and all these big tech companies and the CEOs of their companies turned around and said, listen, we're going to have to put a pause to this because there's a lot of people that could get hurt from this. And even with this 6-month break, I think a lot of people are still going to get hurt from this. So, you know, it looks like, oh, wow, they're doing such a great job. They're such nice people, you know, like they're doing this for us. It's like, we'll see where it goes, right? I mean, you know how powerful AI is, right? We've seen the things AI can do. Look at the AI voices. I mean, the best thing to come out of AI were the presidents playing Minecraft and all these other games together. Those are the best videos of 2023 is AI presidential voices. And everyone knows that there's going to be a problem with that soon. Everyone knows that. Well, what problems can occur? Well, look at self-driving cars, for instance, right? Artificial intelligence. Driving cars with no one in it. What is that going to do? Our buddy Andrew Yang back in 2019 said that it's going to destroy the truck driving industry. All these truck drivers are going to be out of a job with self-driving trucks. Now, we're not exactly there yet, but we are not so far from it either, which is a scary, scary thing to note. All right? I mean, truck driving is rooted and ingrained into America. You know how many, unless they start doing the Amazon drones, but you know how many people drive trucks, right? To deliver all these packages? Like, you know how many jobs that is? That's insane.
And packages, it's like everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not even just your personal goods that you want. It's for businesses, for everything. And it's just crazy how many jobs will be at a loss. And also, people who lose their jobs, literally anyone who spent thousands of dollars to go to school and say, I'm going to be a coder. Oops. Yeah. Oopsies. You knew all that math, you knew all this stuff to do what? So an AI could come in and take your job. It's going to be a shame.
Honestly,
it really is.
Honestly, I think when it comes to coding, I think the problem with that is going to be, because right now there's kind of like, especially in the past 5 years, there's been like a rise in kind of like these quick like coding programs that you take online and get into like a career with.
Mm-hmm.
I think AI is going to destroy that and give people an even bigger dependence on like 4-year universities. And that obviously has its problems with cost and things of that nature.
That too. But I think even after that, it's still going to harm them.
Even like when it comes to AI art and it comes to, you know, like now they can synthesize people's voices with AI. Like,
bro, look at
it's gonna gobble up a lot more industry. Yeah, it's gonna gobble up a lot more industries than people even like in 2019 would have thought, right?
Oh,
in
absolutely.
2019, you're thinking like, okay, they're gonna have self-driving cars, they're gonna have people like do food service and like maybe like self-checkout. But now,
and now you're seeing it. You see it everywhere. You can't miss it.
You saw it a lot of places back then too, but I'm saying,
but it's all getting worse.
More.
Of course.
Obviously, you have issues with disinformation and stuff like that that's propping up.
So I think it's great that we have the thumbnails of us with the AI art, because it's really like a symbol saying like, this is what we're at, this is where we're at, and this is where we're going. Okay, like you know, like. This is really where we're going. Everything's going to be AI this, AI that. And Yang had a point. And Yang decided to not bring that point home when he was running for mayor. Decided to not bring that point home when he was starting the Forward Party. Still not doing it. I mean, what a shame. I mean, Andrew Yang, We would love to have him on the show one day, right? Love to give him an
God
interview
bless.
because, yeah, because we really think that this guy had a lot of the issues down pat, or a lot of interesting ideas that haven't been talked about, right? And it all seemed pretty good. I mean, obviously, there's probably some problems with some of the solutions he had, but I think that he thought outside the box. He thought about things that no one was talking about. Kind of like when Trump came in onto the scene, right? He was talking about immigration. No one was really talking about immigration, right? But it's like now Yang brought something new to the table. He was talking about technology. And it's like, wait a second. Technology, we use it every single day. So it's like he had such a great idea and it's not going anywhere, unfortunately. But really, AI is going to be a big problem, right? It really is. You look at, like I said, you can capture voices. It's going to take people's jobs. Absolutely, it's a job taker. Absolutely. You know, they're going to have robots. Jeff Bezos is going to have robots for Amazon. And that's it. Just robots carrying things in and out. That's it. And then we go into another problem with AI, right? What's that problem? When these robots, these AIs grab emotions. Then it's over. We allow AI to grab emotions and use them. In plain English, we're fucked. That's the best way I can describe it. That's the best way I can describe it.
I mean, I don't think
Absolutely.
that's like super obtainable, but I think a bigger problem when it comes to AI, more so like when you're talking about voices and synthesizing people's voices, is it's like
That's gonna be
on the
bad.
artistic level. I mean, I think AI is gonna take away a lot of like the aspects of art that make us like feel human. You know what I mean? Because like
Whoops.
art and stuff like that's an expression that it's traditionally only humans have really been able to do, right? But now we're getting to a point where it's like you just feed like a bunch of existing art or existing like voices of people into AI, and then they can just recreate it. It's like,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, Disney's already kind of experimented with technology, right? Because they want to have like AI synthesis, like CG, like recreations of people that died in their movies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They've done it. You've seen it.
You're
You know,
probably
we're not
gonna
gonna
start
spoil
seeing
some of the
songs
shows,
of like
but yeah.
artists who've like died, but like they're gonna be
Oh,
making new songs with them and shit.
I'm waiting for the
That'd be
next.
freaky.
I'm waiting for AI Pop Smoke to come out.
Though I will
Uh,
say, I actually saw a couple people make this point on Twitter when they first had the news of like these like Elon Musk and stuff saying not to put a hold on it. There
mhm.
are people who were saying that these guys in particular saying this kind of feels like they want the people who are working on this stuff now to slow down so that the pre-existing big tech guys can catch up and kind of have like be at the same pace with them. I don't know to what extent that's even true, but
Listen, it could be. I
that is like
mean,
an angle.
yeah. I mean,
But I mean, everything's
there's a
so
few
like
angles you go at
centralized
this, right?
now, though. That I feel like that I'm sure these guys have some kind of financial interest, at least some of these like AI
Oh,
like startup
absolutely.
companies.
Absolutely. Look what happened with cigarettes. People thought that vaping was gonna be a new thing. No one's gonna be smoking cigarettes. Marlboro invests like 40% into a vaping company. It's like anyone who is in an industry, okay, will continue to build upon that. If they can't get in it right away, they're gonna try as fast as they can to get in it.
Yeah,
And
like if
if
you have
these
money,
guys
you're
are gonna
gonna
get
like
into
find a way.
AI, absolutely. They have the money. They have more money than God. I
True.
mean, I don't know. Elon Musk. Even with Twitter costing half as much that he bought it for, he still has more money than God.
Yeah. Is he still the richest person?
I have no idea, but whatever it is, he's still dummy rich
Check that
with
out.
billions. Are you gonna check that out right now? We're gonna fact check this.
Yeah.
But it's seriously, it's really gonna be a problem. AI, um, can't stress it
Whoa.
enough.
Wait. Okay. Yeah. Elon Musk is number 2.
Oh, who's number one? Like Warren Buffett or?
Bernard Arnault was in Paris. Net worth is 186 billion.
Hmm. What does he do? What are his
Christian Dior
companies?
ownership. The world's largest luxury goods company. Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, Marc Jacobs,
Ah,
Sephora.
oh yeah, all right, yeah. This guy's making. Like I said, these people have more money than God. All right, they could afford to buy what their opponent is, what their competition is, right? That's
Hmm.
exactly what they do. They buy their competition. We see that time and time again, all the time. You see companies buying other companies. Why can't people who hire coders can't buy AI? Can't invent or create a bot that's even better than a human being? Of course they can. And it's gonna be sad when that day comes. It's gonna be really sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's all I have to say on that issue. Um, I don't know about you. If you have any other words,
No, I think, talked enough about the dystopian future of AI.
I'm sure the next topic is gonna be great.
So much less dystopian, am I right? Uh, we're talking about the Restrict Act, which is actually a revisit of a topic we've been coming back to a couple times. TikTok ban. That's one of the things that the Restrict Act would technically do. But it's not as straightforward as you would think, because you would think a TikTok ban is you ban the app from being installed. But in reality, the Restrict Act is legislation that lets the government basically block any application that they deem issue for foreign affairs or whatever. Like if they think it's us too closely associated with a country that we don't like, essentially. In TikTok's case, it'd be China. There was like an app, I guess, associated with like Russia, they could do the same thing. And yeah, it basically gives them the authorization to do that. It also punishes people. I think it's up to 20 years in prison if
Use a
you
VPN.
access, yeah, if you use a VPN to access one of these sites. So if you go on TikTok, you can get like charged criminally for it.
That's insane, dude. I
Yeah.
remember looking at that and I was like, whoa, like
Hmm.
that's like whoa, like man. And there's a lot on this list.
Yeah, there is.
Like I don't know who designed this bill and said yes, everyone is going to agree to this. Imagine they did.
They still can. I mean, it's not too late. Still gonna.
No, I don't think so. I think it's come to a point where everyone knows like this bill sucks. Like everyone knows that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows though? I mean, because there was like, bipartisan support in banning TikTok. Like it was something that like was building a lot of momentum and looked like it was gonna happen. And I mean, maybe it is too late. I mean, maybe there's just too much baggage on this now that people are gonna turn around and say, no, we don't want this. We just want like a blanket ban.
Yeah.
But
I think people just wanted to ban TikTok. They didn't want all that, you know. And even the people that were for the ban, right? Like I think that yes, this it's very clear that especially after the TikTok, you know, the hearings, a lot of these social media companies should be more transparent on the data that they're selling and any out of nonsense that they're pulling on us, right?
hmm
Um, that should really be the case there. Because I remember I was like, yeah, TikTok really should be banned off the stuff that it can do, all right? And like I said, I said all the reasons before, but Facebook is no bargain. It's owned by Meta, which also has Instagram. Um, they're all pretty similar, and some things have to change, but it's not about that. It was never about that. And when this bill came out, it was like, wow, so this is what this whole thing was about. Was for the US to get more control on what you can see and to track every single thing you do. Ain't that a thing?
I know,
Right?
right?
You know? Like,
There's people who call it like a digital Patriot Act.
yes, that's basically what's
That's
being called.
and it's pretty crazy, right? Because and it's even similar. I mean, because they kind of use like it's like semi-xenophobic, like, oh my God, China, what are they gonna do with our information? And there was an actual movement into it. Like more people were like, yeah, we should get rid of this.
Remember
And
watching
you know,
the clip? It was funny. I think it was on the Ingram angle. I think you know what I'm going to say. It was a clip of she was talking about how the CEO of TikTok, it's from Singapore, by the way, and She was talking about the Chinaman from the Chinaman comes to Chinatown. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
like
yikesy.
something like that. I was like, whoa, wait, hold on a second. Like this guy is from Singapore. Maybe he's not Chinese. I don't know. Maybe because I watched the hearing and maybe I saw that.
Well, she did
He
too. She
said,
doesn't care.
yeah. I mean, or maybe she didn't. Maybe she just had
Nah,
writers.
she probably did.
Maybe. I mean, I guess so. But I don't really know what these big news media outlets actually see versus like what their writers come up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
I
she's
don't
still
know if they
saying it. I
fully
don't know.
write their show. I mean, you think they write all their shows? I mean, they could. I
No,
don't
they
know.
don't. I know that they
Like,
don't for a fact. But I mean, I think she knows who the CEO of TikTok is.
yeah. I mean, look, you watching the news, you watching the narrative. That's it.
Hmm.
You're watching them say what they want to say about it, and that's it. And once you're scooped up into that, it's over. But even Fox, I think, is critical on their strict act, and you know how Democrats are going to be on this one too. Democrats are already opposing it, and now that you see a lot of Republicans, a lot of right wingers also opposing it, I think it's very easy to say it's not going to get passed. I think it's very easy to say that.
Yeah, there actually
You
was a
know,
clip of Jesse Waters interviewing Lindsey Graham. Did you see that?
I saw a little bit of that, just a little bit of that, and I think Lindsey Graham was saying that he is for the Restrict Act.
Well, he was saying so because before like we knew what it was about because we didn't really know everything about it until like just recently. But
Hmm.
it was like kind of being pushed around as like an anti-TikTok act. So a lot of people just like, oh yeah, we're for this, and they put their names on it, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna vote for this. So Lindsey Graham was one of those people who voted for it, who co-sponsored it. It wasn't for a vote, and and he was on Jesse Waters' show being like, yeah, this thing is terrible. Like they want to spy on us and all this stuff and blah blah blah. And then Jesse Waters like, you're a co-sponsor on this. And he's like, what? No, I'm not. And he
Yeah,
showed him the
that's what it
thing.
was.
Yeah. So it's I mean, you're probably like realistically, you're probably right, but there is like some cynicism where it's like I don't know, maybe some like ghouls will come out of nowhere, get it passed. It's a very funny
Ah,
word, by the way.
it is a funny word, ghouls. Whenever I see ghoul, it's kind of like it's kind of funny.
It is.
You know, I'm waiting for some liberal to turn around and ruin it on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Oh man, Twitter's been fun since we have this page. I don't know if where you guys coming from, watching and hearing this, but you can check out our Twitter account at Pro Political Pod, and it's controlled by no other than me and Andrew. So we
Yeah.
post some memes, and we see a lot of shit, man. We really do.
It's true.
I mean, there is a lot of things going on. I mean, but yeah, the Restrict Act, like I said, everyone's against that.
Poo poo better. If you're
Oh,
for it, probably stupid.
oh yeah, absolutely. So I just want to I'm actually going to talk about something that actually isn't listed down is what we're going to talk about actually.
Ooh, going
Because
up script.
yeah, going off the script today. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling we go a little off the script today, right? But because we brought up the Twitter account, I love to bring up this unfortunate the shooting happened. It's even more unfortunate some of the things we've been seeing on Twitter. Oh man, we have Candace Owens. Oh, who doesn't love Candace
What a
Owens? Isn't
beauty.
she, what a gem? Don't you love her?
Yeah, she
Andrew, you
really
should
speaks
love
for me
her.
as a African American.
As a black man, you should know your role and dress properly
Dress
and
properly.
whatever you do, don't hang out with those gays. I mean pedophiles or trans pedophiles. Right? And that's something that I saw. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, oh my god! And the other day we were talking about Matt Walsh saying what he said. I mean, how can this get worse? Oh man, it just gets worse every single day. You go on the app and then you'll be like, oh, well, I'm getting threats and this and that. I'm like, you just called a whole group of people pedophiles that aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
look, there's some things where I could turn around and be like, okay, I understand your point, but this ain't one of them. You know? I mean, I think they had a clip of the only thing that I could turn around and be like, all right, yeah, it's kind of maybe gross is they had a 13-year-old, and I don't know if he was male or female, but I think it was a male. I think he was doing drag and he was doing a dance or whatever. I mean, he was getting into it, right? But seeing all these like adults there, like I don't know what it is. I don't like these. I don't know if it's a beauty pageant type thing, but I hate that shit. Any kids who do beauty pageants, I think the parents should be shot. Honestly, I hate that shit. It's so gross because the people that go there, the judges, is all gross. Like I don't understand how people are okay with this. That is the only time where I could turn around and be like, "You're right." But then they take the whole community and say, "Yeah, you're all a part of this. You all love little kid gay beauty pageants." That's basically what they're saying.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing, right? With when you have a lot of people that exist, is
Oh
of
yeah.
those people, you'll have some who are kind of more strange or more or less desirable, I guess, like among any group of people, right?
Hmm.
And and when you have like a hate movement against a group of people, you'll kind of hyperfixate on those like less desirable type of people and be like, oh my god, they're all terrible people or whatever. Or sometimes they won't even really be that bad, but it'll be taken out of context in a way. I'm not saying that your example. I'm just saying in general, right?
Oh
Like,
no, of course, of course.
yeah. So
But
like, it's really rough, right? And this just
oh
trans thing's
yeah,
been such a persistent message for these guys.
I
And yeah, I
have.
think she said like what, like after
Yeah, I'm
transgender
looking
men were
for it
gonna
right
start
now.
accepting pedophiles or something.
Something like that. I'm looking for it now. I believe I sent it to you, and
Yeah.
I just gonna find that real quick because I wasn't planning. Obviously, wasn't planning to say it, but it's just like it's one of those things where you're looking at like, dude, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
It doesn't surprise you, right?
Oh man, but it's like, come on, like there's got to be some sort of like limit. I feel like no,
No,
no limit.
I don't think so. It's really funny because it's like, and they do all this stuff after like the previous shootings where like the person who was motivated by like conservative type stuff, they're like, oh, you're politicizing this.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
the second that it suits their narrative, then it's like everywhere. It really is fascinating.
So she said something. Oh man, I just had it. It's crazy. Like you look at her tweets and you're like, damn, what are you on? Like I need to know what you're on. It's actually insane. I believe the one here is pedophilia is the next step from transgenderism. That was the line. That was the line right
Yeah,
there.
I
And
figured.
man, I saw that and I was like, man, you talk about freedom of speech and freedom of expression here, and it's like you can't do it though, because then you say it's for pedophiles. Like, I don't understand this logic. You could say all these things you want to say about them. They're weird.
Well, it's
They're
the same
this.
thing.
They're that. But to go off and basically call them criminals. That's what
Well,
you're
yeah.
calling them,
I mean,
right?
it's the same thing I said about gay people, and being gay was a crime for a long time, right? Or not legal. So I mean, yeah, I think it kind of checks
Well,
out.
not legal to marry, yeah.
I mean, even worse though, there's anti-sodomy laws, that were written and were on the books.
Oh
On
yeah.
Texas, they technically still can put them on the books whenever they want.
Really, that's kind of crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean, it's
mean,
like we're at a pretty decent spot overall federally, I guess. Like obviously it's getting kind of spooky right now with the trans stuff, but we're in a better spot than other countries when it comes to like LGBT rights or whatever. But really, I mean, all it really takes is just one like bad election cycle and like all of it can kind of get undone. It's really insane to think about.
it could. I mean, like I said, for me, I'm just, for the freedoms of whatever you want to do, man. I mean, whatever it is. Now, you want to talk about something else? You want to talk about like drag queens being in schools? Okay, that's a different topic. But if you want to talk about them living as a human being, being their own person, doing whatever they want to do, you can't call them pedophiles. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between the two, right?
Yeah.
Whether you
Even
agree or
the
disagree with one another, right?
even the drag thing though is kind of, to me it just seems like an excuse to kind of reach that conclusion.
But I mean, but that's doing it. the drag queen stuff, like in schools, that has to do with parents, kids. So I can understand why someone wouldn't want that.
But that's why, like, because it's like
But when you go, but
you
I'm
start
talking
from like a
about,
reasonable spot, and then you go like, you know what I mean?
I get it, but when you're talking about someone's personal freedoms as an adult,
Yeah.
that's where it's kind of like, all right, you really can't attack too much on that, because if they're not harming someone, they're not doing anything to anyone, It's like they're in their own little space over here. Give them that space, the little, what was it, 3% of the world or something like that are trans, right? The little section, you give it to them and you leave them alone. Yeah, it's gonna grow. Okay, it's gonna grow, and I know they fear that, but this is America. You could do whatever you want. That's just the way it is. So, but I had to talk about Twitter. I had to talk about some of the things that we saw on there, because some of the stuff was outlandish, and
We should just have like a
it's
segment
insane.
every show where we just talk about stupid shit on Twitter.
2%, yeah, stupid shit on Twitter. That should be a next go around. If we don't have that many topics to talk about, or if we get through everything so fast, Twitter should definitely be a topic. Because man, and it's like, and we have fun on there, right? Fun photoshops, and we have fun with everybody. Right wingers. I mean, we have fun with everybody. There's no like, oh, I disagree with your opinion, so I'm not gonna do a funny little edit. No, I can do a funny little edit with some of these people. But then some of them are just so out of their fucking minds, where it's like, I can't do a funny little meme anymore. I can't
know.
comment. So,
It's something.
and like I said, I like to meme around. That's how me and Andrew roll, man. I mean, listen to the intro of this show, okay? The current intro for this show is hilarious. It's great, all right? So, if you like that type of humor, that's basically what we do on Twitter.
Yeah,
That's
true.
basically what we do.
Follow
And
us. That's
oh
the
yeah,
point of this
follow us.
segment.
That's the point of the segment. Follow us at ProPoliticalPod. Uh, that's all I can say really there. But great photoshops. Andrew started using the account more. He posted something that I thought was funny, a video. I mean, you guys can't really tell who posts who, but we know who posts who. All right. and and yeah, definitely fun, but a lot of outlandish shit had to be said. Um, into our next topic. Oh man, this
This
is
is
ah
your moment.
moment to shine, I guess they say. So we're gonna talk about the Trump indictment. We got blessed with news, and I didn't think how much news we were gonna get today, but this one really takes the cake. And I could tell you, from my perspective, that this whole investigation with Trump going with a porn star is all bullshit. Okay? He did it. Okay? The hush money, you could get into the hush money, and I guess you could arrest him over it. But I'm going to go through a few things, all right? Before we say, oh, well, yeah, he deserves to be indicted and this and that. Okay, all right. But I'm not going to talk about just the hush money right now. I'm just going to go over the list of some things that happened in recent history. Some famous politicians who have never been arrested over the crimes that they have committed over the course of their presidency. So, the first one I got here, I know this is going to be seen as a very right-wing angle, but Obama, right? The drone strikes. Oh, we get into the drone strikes. This guy drone strikes so many people, civilians. That is crazy. Let me read some of it to you, okay? He used more drone strikes in his first year than Bush. Bush used 57, okay? Did his whole term. So he did 563 in 2 terms, okay? In targeted countries, Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen. Okay, and that was between 384 and 807 civilians that were killed in those countries. Okay, if you kill a civilian, that's a crime. This guy did between 384 and 807, and he's not in cuffs. Okay, Afghan civilian casualty has also been high, with the UN reporting at least 85 deaths in 2016. So it's not even just the first 2 terms. He did it in his last term and his last year. All right. Strikes peaked in 2010 with 128 CIA drone attacks and at least 89 civilians killed. Okay. Obama also began an air campaign targeting Yemen. Commanders thought they were targeting Al Qaeda, but instead hit a tribe with cluster mutants, killing 55 people. Okay, I think I said one of those words wrong, but whatever. Killing 55 people is just know that they thought it was Al Qaeda and it wasn't. Okay, killing 55 people. 21 of them were children, and 10 of them were under 5 years old. 12 were women, and 5 of them were pregnant. So when we get into crimes and we talk about what is it that you could get arrested over, and this is just one example, is just drone strikes. Okay, and okay, fine. I went after a Democrat. Let me go after everyone loves George Bush. Said no one. Said no one.
Fuck
Right?
George Bush.
So George Bush, the man with Dick Cheney by his side. Oh man, these two should be locked up as well. So let's get into some of the things that they did, okay? I mean, everyone knows what they did, but let's just talk about it for a little bit, okay? According to the Coast of War Project, based at the Watson Institute for International and Public Affairs at Brown University, between 275,000 and 306,000 people were killed directly due to the war between March 2003 and August 2021. He started this shit. That's all I gotta say. Even if everything was out of his control after 08 or 09 or whenever he got out of office, he still started it and a lot of people died. That's all you have to know right there. Then, in Iraq, over 9 million people were displaced from their homes, with millions having to flee their country entirely because they thought that there was weapons of mass destruction. Of course, there was none. Okay? In Yemen, where there has been a minimum of 65 civilians deaths since 2002. So another one. He's just killing civilians. Alright? So, Dick Cheney and Bush, and like I said, I could probably do so much more on this, but I'm going to try to keep it as short as I can. So, there you go. War crimes. War crimes right there from George Bush and from Barack Obama. Or I should say Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay, buddy. Going a little too far.
A little too far. Okay. All right. So, I get it. All right. You know, all jokes aside, it's a big problem. Okay. War crimes have been committed by not only these 2 presidents, but by many others in the past. Okay. And I could go further and I could go down the list of just other people, other politicians in power or who were in power. And I'm not going to say everything that they did, but I could go after Nancy Pelosi, her insider trading.
It's not just her; it's many people.
Many people, but she's definitely a name. Any Hillary scandal, Biden's drone strikes as well, and like I said before, so many more. But I will say the biggest crime to commit, besides killing a lot of civilians, is being horny. Apparently, that's the big one, because we impeached Clinton on it because he lied. Yeah, I get it, he lied, but it's just the way he is. He's a womanizer, okay? And Trump wanted to have some fun, okay? So he hired this porn star, okay? And, you know, I get it, the whole hush money thing, you know, should have never did it. I thought it was stupid to begin with, okay? But, dude, out of anything you could have went at Trump, you do this out of all the things you could do. I'll put it this way. I have a list of a few things. You could go after Trump. I'm not saying don't go after the guy. What I'm saying is that if you're going to go after the guy, let's go after the guy over things that are worthy of going to jail for. Okay? But it's not going to be done because look at Obama, look at Bush, and all the other politicians that got away with it over the years. Just going to do a few of them right now, okay? Let's talk about Trump in Saudi Arabia. That's always a fun one, right? When the journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, I don't know if I'm saying
Khashoggi.
that right. Khashoggi, okay, I don't want to pronounce anything wrong, but I'm sorry for that. He was a columnist for Middle East Eye and the Washington Post. And he was assassinated in Istanbul, and Trump didn't do anything about it. And I remember that happening, and I was like, well, why wouldn't he do something about that? Isn't he all for, saying, oh, let's get that guy out of that country, bring that prisoner back, he's coming back to the States. I remember him saying that all the time and criticizing other politicians for not doing it. And here he is. Person got killed. And we're not doing anything about it. I was like, why? Tell you why. So the Saudi government, allegedly, they gave Trump almost $300,000 to his hotel in D.C. And in return, Trump signed the U.S.-Saudi arms deal and supported Saudi Arabia's genocide in Yemen. Yemen's getting fucked. I mean, Yemen must hate the United States because we really go after them, right? The surprise assassination of a general. There's that. And let's also get into what else did he do? Oh, gee, what did the other presidents do? Drone strikes. We love drone strikes. Who doesn't love drone strikes?
Drone strikes.
He has the most. The guy has the most drone strikes. And we go after him because he wanted sex with a porn star? I'll put it this way, okay? The number of civilians killed, okay, by international airstrikes increased by about 330% from 2016, okay? The last full year of Obama's administration in a 2019 study, airstrikes killed 700 civilians in Afghanistan in 2019 alone. So, look, here's the conclusion of this whole thing, all right, for me. Like I said from the beginning, it's total bullshit to go after him. The liberals are rejoicing, but they really shouldn't be rejoicing over this, because I think that there's a lot stronger cases you could go after him on, because now you just took a long-term problem and you put a Band-Aid on it. We talk a lot on the show about how putting a Band-Aid on a long-term problem is a problem in itself. So why would we allow ourselves to do this and be okay with this? Well, Trump might look like a star reborn here, okay? Now, if January 6th never happened, this guy could make his way to the White House very easily, okay? But I think with January 6th happening, I think it's going to be a lot harder for him to ever reach the White House ever again. Like I said, the star is DeSantis, but in this case, in the Republican primaries, this guy is a superstar. He is a star reborn in the Republican Party. And he's only going to get more popular from it. He's only going to get more votes from it. And hell, I mean, I guess, yes, it'll help the Democratic Party because Joe Biden could win and he'll be 90 years old in office in 2028. Not really. But it's like, what are we doing? We're doing this Band-Aid issue again. So, again, I'm pretty upset with the outcome. Not because, oh, you're mad that he got arrested. No, I'm not mad at of him getting arrested. I'm mad at how he got arrested. It makes no sense. And I don't know why we do this. Maybe I do, but it's just, it should not happen this way. It really shouldn't. So, I mean, there's my nice long-winded rant on other politicians committing war crimes and how Trump should be arrested for war crimes and not for having sex with a porn star. And that's my piece there.
Okay. Well, I agree that, all these presidents committed war crimes and all of them should be persecuted in some way. But I will also say I think that Trump getting arrested for this case, I think it's fine. I do.
I totally
I think
disagree.
he
Absolutely.
broke the law. You know what I mean? Like this
No,
is
I'm
like
not
not
saying he didn't.
like it's shown that he broke the law. Um,
Hmm.
and I think most people who follow this stuff know he's a criminal in other ways too. So I mean, why wouldn't I want to see a criminal get arrested?
Because
Even if it's not for the ideal crime. I mean, okay, arrest him for this, and then investigate the other stuff too. I
it's
mean,
not
obviously,
that.
they're not gonna investigate the war crimes. We know that, right? That's
But
because
that's what I'm
there's just
talking about. That's the bullshit I'm talking about. And we know they're not, but this is what I'm talking about.
yeah, I get that. I agree with that. But the reality is that we're nowhere near a position where we're gonna get enough power or people power or anything really to get us at a place where we are gonna try all these politicians for all these war crimes and corruption scandals. I mean, some corruption scandals, some minor ones, but nothing like really fundamental and systemic. There's like way too many systemic problems before we can even think about really like trying people for a lot of this stuff. And also,
I
most
don't
people
know
like
about
their
all
day to day, they
that.
aren't.
We have a
I
lot
mean,
of
how are
systemic
you
problems,
gonna?
but we're trying Trump right now. So why can't we try all these other people?
Yeah, but I'm talking about trying them for the war crimes. They're not trying Trump for any war crimes. And that was always the critique, even when he was president, they were impeaching him. It was like, yeah, I mean, like the Saudi Arabia case is like much stronger to impeach Trump over, and they never did it. Why? Because
Absolutely.
them or someone like the people impeaching him or someone that they're comfortable with. It's part of the system. There's corruption that's embedded in the system. That okay, this is just how it is. But Trump is a character. He's someone that does all these crazy things that are also crimes, but they're crimes that are more looked down upon, so they can actually get him on them, or they're more comfortable doing it. And those are problems. I agree with you, but I'm not gonna like be upset that a powerful person is getting arrested or indicted or whatever the hell.
But you know that this is the only thing it's gonna do is gonna flame a base. That's all it does. For what this crime is,
I mean, how far is that gonna go? And if they keep it, and
it could
also
go far.
this isn't the only investigation into Trump too. That's the other thing. There's other investigations when it comes to like there's a case in Georgia because he told like the election committee find me these votes, so they're investigating like him doing election interference. I
Uh,
think there's other cases in New York regarding his like taxes and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of things that are happening.
Taxes, he's not gonna use. He's not.
But what
I don't
I'm
think they're gonna get
saying
him
is
on.
that these are all like actual crimes that he did.
I
So it's
mean,
like
but you
how much
could,
of this is really gonna like yeah, he's emboldening his base, yeah, because his base, like, no matter what happens, they're gonna be with him, for the most
of
part.
course,
But
I understand that.
how much of that is gonna translate to anything other than the people that already like him,
But
liking him more or feeling
for
vindicated in
me,
liking him?
I mean, you saw his numbers go up. We talked about it. What was it last
Among
week? I
people
think it
that like
was.
him, yeah. But I'm
But that's
talking about, like, because there's this idea, especially, like, we talked about the responses to this news. A lot of, like, right-wing circles are like, "Oh my god, Trump just won re-election. They don't know what they just did," and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, no, I mean
if Janet 6 didn't happen and COVID didn't happen and he lost. I
but
think
those
that
all
he
play into each
maybe
other.
has a
Those
chance.
all are like, yeah, he did all this crazy,
Yeah. So
nonsensical, non-normal stuff. So yeah, that like, what do you expect? Like,
yeah,
like COVID happening should have been like the best thing ever for a president in a re-election year. You could have very easily gotten everyone to like him. Like if he just acted more like DeSantis in 2020, he probably would have run re-election really easily.
that is true.
But
I
like
mean,
he
we've
didn't.
been critical of him. We've been very critical of his 2020 campaign. I mean, he ran like a jackass. He ran terribly. But for me, it's and I know that they're not going to get him off
And also a Jan
the
6 too.
war
I mean, that's
crimes,
one of the
but
things that he's being investigated for is Jan 6 because of what he did. So yeah, like him being
that's
investigated, and
something.
if he got indicted or something over it, I mean, most people are gonna be like, yeah, because most people look at Jan 6 like it's
But
freaking crazy,
but
and he enabled it.
at least you look at that and be like, okay, but he said that there's a stolen election when there wasn't a stolen election. At least that is worthy of it. Jan 6 is more worthy of it than fucking Stormy
Who
Daniels.
cares if it's worthy? It's a crime.
I think it's
It's a
more.
crime. Like, what does that mean? Worthy? Like, it's a
I
crime. He broke
agree.
a crime.
I
If a
understand.
normal person, like, if
But these
if
people
someone if
are
someone ran for
normal.
office,
They
no,
have so much power. Okay,
yeah,
but
yeah,
if
yeah.
we
That's my
would
point.
take them
If
down on war crimes, it's the principle. I get it. All right, the systemic problem with you can't mention the war crime word because this has a connection to that and all this
okay,
other
but here's
stuff.
the thing
Okay,
too.
but it's by
If you can't,
principle.
but my okay, here's my point. Is that if like some guy ran for office, right? And he ran like a decent little campaign, he didn't win, but he or maybe he did win, but he's not like super wealthy. He's like a middle class guy, and it's like a local election.
Okay.
And it gets discovered that he covered up a scandal, and he wasn't straightforward with his funds. Like he would be arrested. He would be put into trouble for it because he's not a mega wealthy guy who was president. So all I ask for is that same standard gets applied to the
I
president, regardless of their status,
I
because I
want
think
that
that's
standard
more my
applied.
goal. But yeah, like if you can't arrest someone for like a crime that you know for a fact anyone will get arrested for, like how are you gonna go from like okay like nothing to now we're gonna like arrest every president in modern history for all the war crimes they commit? That's just not gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
I listen. Like I said,
the
by
fact that yeah,
principle,
like the
I feel
fact
like
that he's
that's the
good,
way it
that
should
he is
happen.
arrested says a lot about like yeah, like I mean yeah, that's good.
But it's crazy how we get him on this and we don't get any other politician on anything else. Insider trading, all this other stuff. We don't get
Well,
them on.
insider trading's not a crime. Too, that's another thing. Like there's talk to make it a crime, but as of now, it's
Should
not done
definitely be
yet.
a crime. Absolutely.
Well, what
These
should be and
people are
is are two
making
different
money. These
things.
people are making money
That's the other thing when it comes to
off of the
corruption too.
system.
A lot of these
Like
issues with corruption are they're just legal. Like it's just stuff that you can just get away with.
that's what I'm
When
saying.
when
That's
issues
why
with
I'm
corruption
saying.
go to the Supreme Court, they're like, I mean, he can do this because money's
Well,
free
that's
speech,
why
right?
I'm saying when it comes to the taxes, I don't think they're gonna get him on the taxes because the loopholes are legal, right?
Well, not all of them. No, I mean, he actually did break laws with taxes.
I
There are a
I
lot of legal loopholes and stuff, but there are
I
examples
don't know if they're gonna.
of him inflating assets and stuff like that. Like he did break tax laws.
Okay, but I don't know if they're gonna get him on that. If they do, they do. But I definitely think that, which is obviously a problem. I'm not saying that that's not a problem.
And again, I mean that's
The
something else
core
where it's like okay,
basis,
if like an
the
upper middle class
yeah.
dude like did that stuff, they'd probably get into more trouble than than Trump
Look,
would. So if
the
he got into trouble for that, I think that's good.
like I don't think the person like if it was in this scenario, if it was hush money over a porn star, I don't think that they should be in trouble. No, I don't think so.
They broke a law. Like yeah, they
I don't
should
think
be
so.
because.
I don't. You know, in this
But there's like
scenario,
what you think
absolutely
sounds
not.
like
And
as
there's
harmful.
okay, but like I said, it's
And I
for
don't
me,
think he's
it's the
gonna go to jail over this,
principle.
by the way. But I think yeah, the principle of him
No,
getting
of course
arrested is
not.
good. It's freaking
I think
good thing.
by principle, we should look at the bigger issue because, like I said, it's a band-aid issue now, where we don't talk about the war crimes. We can't talk about this.
You can. No one's stopping you. You're talking about it right now.
We're talking about it, but I'm saying on the upper level in the courts.
They
No
weren't
one,
talking
the
about it already. So what?
politicians,
They're not
they're
gonna
not
change
going to talk
anything.
about it. Which what I'm saying is they should be talking about this. That's what I'm saying. Of
They
course, you could
should be,
say
but they
that.
won't.
Of
And they
course, we could say that. That's our
if they
freedom
never
of
if
speech.
they never arrested Trump, they wouldn't be saying that.
Like the drone strikes and all these other things. You should lock up.
I
Yeah,
agree. I
lock up
wish they
Trump,
would talk about it. I wish they would,
Obama,
make it an
Bush,
issue.
all these guys,
Yeah,
and
sure, but they're not going to talk about it.
they're not
And
going
I
to,
mean,
and it's annoying.
regardless if they arrested him or not, or they tried him over or not over these other more minor crimes, doesn't matter.
Like I cannot agree with how this case is turning out. I mean, I don't think he's going to go to
I think it's
jail
pretty
and all this stuff.
straightforward.
Uh, like I said, I don't
They
agree.
investigated this corruption case, did the corruption, indicting him,
Like
gonna get some kind of arrest in. It's
I
fine.
mean, on the principle of this, like the hush money, it's like okay, I understand, but for what it was for, it's kind of like, wow, out of all things, you know what I mean? Like if it was something else, like if it could have been something serious. Like this really wasn't all that serious.
Yeah, I mean, there's this precedent of them getting like known criminals over more minor crimes, though. It's like that's a thing that's happened.
Okay, that's the thing that happens, but not to big, powerful political leaders, which is why I want the conversation
Yeah,
of war
there's
crimes.
mobsters that have been caught on like minor crimes.
Of
Like
course, but I want war crimes to be a discussion, a mainstream discussion.
I would love that too. I'm not, but
And
you.
that's something that I think we need to get, or us as the people need to get done. That's how I feel. I know you feel the same way, but you say realistically it won't happen. Um, I know realistically there's
Well, also
a good chance it won't happen either.
even
But
besides it happening or not, there's also just the idea that him getting arrested for this doesn't really undermine the war crimes. I don't think.
I think it kind of does in a way. It's kind of like, all right, well, you could go to jail for this, but you killed 700 civilians in Afghanistan. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Oh, but the porn star. Oh, okay, I get it. So you wanted to have fun for the night and you did hush money. Oh, okay. That one you go to jail for. But the 700 Afghans that died, and then all the
Again, I mean, because
civilians,
there's
all the kids
precedent
that died,
for these
that's
laws.
okay.
There's precedent for these laws like on a civilian level, but there aren't precedent for war crimes on a civilian level because only elected people get it, and obviously they're going to skew it in their favor. So that's the problem, right?
Yeah. No.
Because obviously, like everyday guy isn't going to like be commanding an army to go do it or commanding
Of course
drones.
not. Of course not. But I mean, it's just it's sad to see happen. Uh, that's like I said, we agree but we disagree on this issue, and it's unfortunate. And hopefully, more people do start talking about the war crimes that are going on or that have went on with previous presidents. I mean, it's just one of those things where people are gonna have to start to speak up about a certain thing, and man, I said this about some with Epstein. It got brought up with his stuff, and people made jokes about it. And what I say when people are gonna make jokes about it, I said it's not gonna be taken in, or I said it wasn't gonna stay. People are gonna make this joke, and then that's it. It's gonna be gone forever. And so now some people make the joke, and then that's it. You know, everyone wants to know who's in the book, this and that. It's like you'll never know. I forgot what
I
it
think
was
if anything,
going
I
on.
think the joke made it more mainstream.
It made it mainstream, but then it's like people just pass it on, and then it just didn't go
I mean,
anywhere as far
I
as
think
you
it
wish
was
it would.
either
Like
it was either going to
when we
be like a
joke
trendy
around,
joke,
when
or
we
it was
joke
going
around,
to
I
be
feel
nothing.
like we would keep it going. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, but seriously, like what the fuck? You know what I mean? But it's like it didn't turn that way, and there was something that was going on. I think I think it was last year. I think it was. It was the Johnny Depp trial, and they aired that on television, but the Ghislaine Maxwell they didn't air on TV. So it's one of those things where like you see a little distractions here and there, what they want to do, and no one was really vocal about it. Very few people were, and that's the way it is. Um, I just hope that people, because I think Gen Z, uh, a lot of them, of course, you got a lot of dumb people in the generation, but a lot of them I think are smart. And a lot of them could turn around and say, hey, look, I'm looking at the facts right now. We got this, and this. Let's talk about it. Let's have this discussion that, a lot of millennials and Gen Xers and boomers are not having at the moment. And there's a few of them within the generations, of course, that talk about these issues, but very few, right? um I think that this should be a topic for the next generation to come, for our generation, for what's the next generation name, Alpha, right? Like these are
Well,
things that we have to
I think
talk
that's a
about.
more realistic outlook in terms of how we as a society are going to kind of grapple with like the various types of war crimes and stuff and atrocities we committed.
Hmm.
Because it's not going to be like you're going to have this day where we have a trial with all the former presidents and officials who did all these things, and they're going to like that's not going to happen.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
But it's
And
going to be. I mean, what's more realistic, I guess, is we as a society, like we grow up, we have new people come in and new ideas, and they kind of replace the old ideas, and we kind of look back on them. We're like, oh wow, how could we do that? Kind of like like how race, like people were more racist back then in a way. But at like new generations, we look back on that as like primitive and barbaric. Like, it'll probably be a similar thing.
like,
Or I guess with the Native Americans, a perfect example. We did a lot of
oh
genocide
man.
with the Native
Oh
Americans, right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's like
Absolutely.
we're not gonna like go back and like try these people or anything, but we know like yeah, we did freaking terrible like heinous crimes and acts to these people.
But we should be trying to prevent this. Like that's what I'm saying, man. And
Well, I'm saying it's like
because we can always look back and
I
be like,
guess
oh, okay, like, oh, Hitler was a bad guy. I guess we look back and say, oh, no, we're gonna prevent this. We're gonna make sure this don't fucking happen again. That's what we're
well
doing. You know what I
again
mean?
that's my point is we're like we know this happened and we're like, oh, this was really bad. Like we have to make sure we don't get to this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
but when you
whatever
talk
it
about we
is.
genocide, you know, all these Native Americans, we genocide other people in other countries, so it's kind of like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We're killing off people anyway. So, do we really learn? I don't think so.
It's like
I
a
think
weird thing to say, but it's like I think the circumstances of him are different. Besides it being like obviously not within the
I don't
country,
know, man.
but I mean, yeah, I mean the core problem is kind of similar, right? Because it's like it's power, right? That's really what it comes
It's
down
all
to.
about power, of course. Yeah.
But
Um,
back then, I think there was definitely more just like a direct like we want to target these people because we want to kill them. Whereas a lot of these civilian deaths in these like new wars, for the most part, they're collateral damage, which is really shitty to say, but
yeah, I was gonna say, I really should you say, I see airstrikes killed 700 civilians in
yeah,
Afghanistan
or
in
like if
2019
or like you
alone.
said, like they think
Yeah,
they're getting a terrorist and then it's just like some random freaking family or something stupid.
that's what I'm saying. It's just not right. Like I understand I can understand an unfortunate situation where you bomb, like a terrorist organization, and one or two people unfortunately get caught in the misfire. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. But when I see 700 civilians, it's kind of like, well, dude, were you fucking looking, or were you just bombing people just to bomb people? You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like, because mistakes always happen, and I'm not gonna turn around and be like, oh, well, you made this this mistake. Like, of course, and I think that should be looked at and said, okay, we're gonna do absolutely everything in our power to not kill anyone on the battlefield that is a civilian.
Yeah,
I understand accidents happen. These are just not accidents at this point. This is just killing people. And it's like, what can we do to stop it? And I think this conversation needs to be brought up in the mainstream. Um, and that's how I see it. That's how I see this
yeah,
conversation. I agree with you, but I also very much disagree with you. So, and that's the way I could cap it off there for me.
okay. Yeah, I think we kind of said what we our pieces on
Yeah, we
it.
said our pieces on it. You
Listen, if
know,
they want to find out Bush like slept with some lady and they want to arrest him over that, I'm not complaining.
no, I'm not saying you have a bias. I'm not saying you have a bias against someone on that. It's just you know what it is. But anyway, uh,
I think that's caps off the show, right?
that caps off the show. A very fiery energy of an ending, right? Because this one I knew was gonna get a little bit of my blood kind of boiling. Then especially to talk with AI, like Wolf, like we were on that shit, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and it really kind of, when I hear my grandparents and they watch the news and it's like, you see this AI, it's like, ugh, it's like I've been known about this, like I've been known about all these things, and it's like it's so annoying, right? And you just see it
Hmm.
happening and manifesting, and it's like, like like we need like powerful people. We need Andrew Yang for the time being. That's the and he screwed up, man. What can I say? But those
You need the
ideas were there, right?
2019 one, not the 2023.
Yeah, yeah. The 2019 one we need back, but
Unless you want to come on the show, which I mean, you know.
oh, if he wants to come to the show, absolutely. Open arms, welcome. We still like Andrew Yang. We root for Andrew Yang. But we just disagree with how he's going about everything. We don't think he's going in the right direction, because I feel like I feel like he's a genuine guy. I feel like he's not that bad of a dude.
It's a
I feel like
grifter. What
he's
are
a
you
cool
talking
dude.
about?
Oh, dude, when the liberals said, dude, I'll never forget. There's a liberal that said he was a grifter, and I couldn't
He's like the
help
worst
myself
grifter
to
ever. If he
respond.
was a grifter, dude.
Absolutely, bro, the worst
Makes
guy for
no money.
grifter. Are you kidding me? This man went out of his way. He went out of his way to make a third
To be a
party that would go
jobber.
nowhere. To go nowhere and have no policies but ranked choice. It's like, you know, unfortunate. But Yang, if he would like to come on the show, we would open arms. He would definitely, he could definitely be on. Listen, anyone really could be on the show. No, almost anyone. I'll put it that way, almost anyone. So hopefully we'll get guests on in the future. Whether they're small or big, we don't really care. We just like to have a good political conversation, and that I think does it. I guess I could end off on also good news. On Thursday, the Yankees won. Yankees won the opening game. It has nothing to do with politics, but I got to put a smile on a few New Yorkers' faces. All right, uh, and that's it. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in, and We'll catch you next time.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you. Peace.